Everyone's eyes will be on President Trump 1 week from now when he goes to the crushed U.S. ward of Puerto Rico, whose sea tempest-assaulted groups remain to a great extent without sustenance, power, and clean water in front of his visit. Trump was examined by officials on the two sides of the path this week for his postponement and foregoing the Jones Act, a decades-old law that requires merchandise going between U.S. ports to dispatch solely on American vessels. Puerto Rican Governor Ricardo Rossello had asked for the waiver to better encourage the conveyance of fundamental supplies to the island, which was obliterated when Hurricane Maria influenced landfall as a Classification 5 storm prior this month. The feedback mounted when the president jested to columnists Wednesday that a ton of shippers were opposing an impermanent suspension of the Jones Act notwithstanding the destruction in Puerto Rico, making his rivals estimate that industry weight was keeping the law set up. It is an unwarranted grumbling, Tom Bossert, Trump's country security counsel, later advised correspondents when squeezed to respond in due order regarding feedback of the Jones Act waiver delay. Bossert contended Rossello had asked for the waiver just as a proactive advance and not because of expanded costs or slower conveyance of products. Others panned acting Homeland Security Secretary Elaine Duke Friday when she said the predetermined number of passings in Puerto Rico and the achievement of look and safeguard endeavors made for a decent news story. San Juan Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz shot in a meeting with CNN hours after the fact, "Damn it, this isn't an uplifting news story. This is a people are biting the dust story." Democrats have seized on the debacle in Puerto Rico, asserting the organization has the ability to convey more noteworthy alleviation to casualties of Maria by sending more troops, opening extra airplane terminals and acquiring authorities to manage blocked streets and absence of energy over the island. Fizzled Democratic presidential chosen one Hillary Clinton joined the corral of commentators on Monday, encouraging Trump and the Defense Department to send the Navy and its East Coast Doctors Facility dispatch, the USNS Comfort, to help with the continuous alleviation exertion. Authorities eventually consented to send the ship. "I think I share the general agreement that they've been somewhat moderate," said Brad Setzer, a senior individual at the Council on Foreign Relations, who worked intimately with Puerto Rico as a Treasury official under President Obama. Senator Bill Nelson, Democrat Florida, whose state is as of now managing its own recuperation in the wake of Hurricane Irma, said on Wednesday that uncommon measures would need to be taken if the organization's reaction kept on giving off an impression of being moderate and lacking. A few pundits of the president have blamed him for exhibiting a similar blunder that previous President George W. Bush was thrashed for in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. Moving Stone proofreader Tom Dickinson composed for the current week that George W. Shrubbery ate cake while New Orleans suffocated. Now Trump is influencing him to appear to be statesmanlike by correlation. Like New Orleans, a vigorously Democratic city where numerous inhabitants effectively disdain Bush, terrain Puerto Ricans tend to vote Democratic and conveyed only 13% bolster for Trump in the island region's GOP essential last March. What you're seeing now with Puerto Rico is Democrats and a considerable lot of the prevailing press is endeavoring to reproduce the Katrina story to hurt Trump, Republican strategist Ford O'Connell told the Washington Examiner. The truth is the organization is doing what it can, but since of the coordinations and foundation in Puerto Rico, things aren't seeming as though they did in Miami or Houston. What's more, a considerable measure of Trump's political rivals are starting to notice blood in the water, O'Connell said. Puerto Rico experienced an enormous obligation emergency well before Hurricane Maria tore through the island, and its previous financial hardships could convolute its long-haul recuperation endeavors. Trump has just referred to the region's broken framework as an issue that has just exacerbated post-storm help endeavors, and he beforehand stood out as truly newsworthy for tweeting that Puerto Ricans ought not get a financial rescue after its legislature started liquidation-like systems in May. The Democrats need to close government in the event that we don't ransom Puerto Rico and offer billions to their insurance agencies for ACA disappointment. No. Trump tweeted at the time. As you probably are aware, there was a many millions, an enormous venture of cash by others before the tempests. That cash has been stuck in an unfortunate situation and now over it a considerable measure of other cash, Trump told columnists on Friday, a day after he tweeted about Puerto Rico's energy framework being completely shot. "I do concur that an absence of interest in the power lattice added to the degree of the demolition," Setzer told the Washington Examiner, including that the organization's concentrate going ahead ought to be on getting the island's energy framework go down and running and taking a more dynamic part in endeavoring to address the powers that have added to underinvestment in Puerto Rico's foundation. O'Connell proposed it would be shrewd for Trump to abstain from examining issues that went before Maria amid his visit to the island 1 week from now. "I believe it's a theme he ought to unquestionably avoid despite the fact that actually Puerto Rico's lousy foundation is one reason why this calamity is so terrible," he stated, including that Trump must be exceptionally watchful with how he examines the circumstance so as not to seem like he is accusing casualties or needs sympathy. Trump was blamed for being chilly and concentrating excessively on himself amid his underlying visit to Texas after Hurricane Harvey. Be that as it may, surveying immediately demonstrated a knock in his endorsement rating after he went to a moment time and later invested hours with safeguard laborers and evacuees amid an excursion to Florida in the wake of Hurricane Irma. 60% of Americans endorsed of the president's reaction to Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria, as per a Fox News survey discharged Wednesday. The main other issue on which he earned net positive endorsement was for the work he has done to fortify the U.S. economy. White House authorities are scrambling to guarantee the president keeps up a positive rating while he and helpers juggle catastrophe alleviation in Puerto Rico with the looming charge change fight in Congress. The Washington Examiner acquired ideas that the organization circled to Republicans' partners on Friday, encouraging them to guard its staged way to deal with the conveyance of staff, assets, and hardware to Puerto Rico. There are more than 10,000 government staff speaking to 36 offices, including more than 800 Federal Emergency Management Agency workforce, on the ground in Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands occupied with reaction and recuperation operations from Hurricanes Maria and Irma, the report read. Trump, who will make a beeline for Puerto Rico next Tuesday, said in a discourse just before the end of the week that for all intents and purposes everything has been wiped out and it will take a monstrous revamping exertion to re-establish the island to the prominent traveler goal it had been for a considerable length of time before Maria hit. "We won't rest, in any case, until the point that the general population of Puerto Rico are protected," Trump proclaimed. "We need them to be protected and sound and secure, and we will be there consistently until the point that that happens."